Hey, I'm Rob Nunnery. This is Bag and Paddle. This is the first episode. The name means a few things: pickleball paddle, travel bag, and for me, also an ostomy bag. This show is about competing, traveling, and living life as an athlete when your body doesn't always cooperate. My first guest is Ella Cosma. Ella is a pro pickleball player. She also lived with an ostomy as a kid and dealt with serious complications most people never see. We talk about sports, chronic illness, stomas, reversals, doctors, hydration, embarrassment, resilience, and a lot of things people don't usually say out loud. And the conversation went places I didn't expect, but I'm grateful it did. Here's my conversation with Ella. Thank you so much for joining. This is actually my very first recording for Bag and Paddle.
Oh, that's so
And
cool.
yeah, it's perfect for you to be the first guest, right? Because paddle in respect to pickleball and bag, obviously, for ostomy bag, but also pickleball bag and travel bag and everything we do as
Yeah.
athletes to travel and play. And really just grateful to have you on and to chat a little bit more about your story.
Yeah, no, I think I love the name actually. I saw it and I was really happy. And the thing about like my ostomy was I don't know about you, but I've never talked to anybody else who has had an ostomy before. I think the only like one I got close was someone who was about to get an ostomy and I was just like texting her to tell her kind of what it's like and like give her a support system
Mm.
for it. But I never talked to somebody who's like been through it and shares like a lot of commonalities with me about it. And even when I had my ostomy, which really was the end of elementary school for me and the beginning of middle school, I only told my close friends about it, and I kind of regret doing that because I don't know why I tried to hide it from the rest of the grade, because I see people like you who are out there sharing the story, which I think is really great, and I kind of tried to keep it hidden. Like now I regret doing that. I don't have the ostomy anymore, but I think it was a really important part of my life.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, Ella, it's much easier for me, anyways, to be open about it, like online or publicly, in that respect of sharing
Mm.
video or talking about it. Personally, in real life, where I actually meet people, I struggle with how to bring it up. I struggle with it if it's active or making noises. How do I approach this? So
Yeah,
totally fair. I think it's super normal to
right,
not know how to really navigate that in real life. A nice part is, like, by me putting it on social and making it public, that when I do meet people, it's a little easier, I think, because they already have a little bit of the backstory of what's
right.
going on versus me having to try to figure out how to explain it and all of that. So I totally get it in respect to not sharing it with more
Right.
people. Because I'm the
Yeah,
same way. Even people I meet in daily life, I'm not super open about it, which is,
yeah, like, I have my
yeah,
intestine on the outside of my stomach, and there's poop pouring out of it.
yeah, it's like, nice to meet you. Yeah,
Have
it's
you ever seen
happening.
my Yeah, no, that's definitely a story. I do wanna ask you, though, because I don't know if this is a shared experience for you or not, but, like, I ended up coming with, like, some complications with my stoma to where, like, I actually couldn't play sports because have you ever had a prolapse before?
I have not, but I've seen it be an issue, but I've not experienced it myself.
Okay. So when I got my stoma, I don't know, maybe a couple months in or a month in, I was going to summer camp and like I felt pain like on my around my stoma, so like I tried to feel it through the bag and it had come
Oh,
out like that long, which was
wow.
really scary for me because the doctors, I don't know if your doctors told you about it or it's just because you studied it, but I didn't know what was going on because I didn't get a warning about it at all and I didn't really know the cause of it. So
Yeah,
we kind of freaked out, went back home, like, called the emergency room right away, like, "What's wrong?
yeah,
This intestine's coming out of my stomach." And it
yeah.
was really stressful, and I don't actually know how many I had because it happened to me really often. Like, if I picked up a chair
Mm.
or I was, like, running around at all, my stomach would just kind of come out long. Yeah,
And
so
you had a ileostomy or a colostomy?
ileostomy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have seen that was kind of it's interesting because I didn't have any, the doctors don't really tell you much, right? For them, it's just a procedure. And for you, it's like, I have my intestines sticking out of my stomach now.
Yeah.
I need more. I need more info.
Yeah, for sure.
But I basically had a choice to do colostomy or ileostomy. My colorectal surgeon wanted to do an ileostomy because the hope was to get it reversed. So just basically because my Crohn's disease, and the reason I got my ostomy was because of perianal Crohn's disease, fistulizing Crohn's disease. So I've always had fistulas, abscesses. I've never had stomach pain or any of the typical Crohn's things that you hear about. So mine was really just to solve pain that I couldn't live with anymore because it was so bad.
Right.
And
Yeah, I'm really sorry.
it's helped a lot. But she was basically like, we'll do an ileostomy, temporary. We'll be able to give your bottom a break to heal, and then we can reverse it eventually and continue on. And then I did some research on ileostomies, and obviously I wanted to keep playing pickleball as much as I could. For me, pickleball is just a side note at this point, even though it's my career
Right.
and how I live. It was more about just like, I can't live in this pain anymore. I've got to figure this out. And pickleball aside, but with the thought of pickleball, I did want to have the best chance I could at continuing to play. And I saw with ileostomies that hydration is a much, much tougher thing to deal with.
Yeah.
And I struggle with it with a colostomy. So I think with
Right.
an ileostomy, I would be really in bad shape. But it was the first time I saw an ileostomy, like the stoma on somebody that had an ileostomy. I was like, whoa, that's way different looking than mine. Because
Really?
mine's just talking about your prolapse. It doesn't come out from the body very much. It's like maybe
Okay.
that,
Okay.
but
Ileostomy is
and the
like
issue,
that maybe?
yeah, and that's what I saw. Wow, that's a lot of your intestine coming out of your
Right.
body.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's crazy. But so since mine's kind of more flush to the body, I have to wear a pouch or a wafer that is convex, so it
Mhm.
like helps my stoma stick out a little bit more. But what happens when I'm lifting something or running or playing, and then I go change my bag and I see my stoma right after playing? What happens with mine is mine goes
Like
in, and that
oh,
freaks me out because I'm
wow.
like, oh no,
Okay.
is it? I'm like,
That's
is it coming
crazy.
back? Is
Whoa,
it coming
okay.
back out? I don't know
Like
which one I'd like more
okay,
or
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like dislike more. I don't know, but probably yours. Because if I see a prolapse and it's like,
Like,
oh, there it goes, like that freaked me out.
it's so scary because like, it gets all bloody too, and then when I don't know how your bags are, but mine were two-piece bags.
Mm.
You have a one-piece bag,
I've
I saw.
I've experimented. I've settled on one piece for a number of reasons that
Okay.
we could talk about later.
Yeah.
But yes, one piece. But you
So
did too.
my two-piece was just because, like, I couldn't hold enough overnight, so I had to,
Mm.
like, put on a bigger bag overnight. Would be a balloon in the morning, as you probably experienced.
Yeah,
It's like, when you get a prolapse, you have to when you're taking off I don't remember what it's called, but you know, like, the part that sticks to your stomach?
like the flange. I
Yeah,
think.
since it's like it
Yeah,
was to the shape of my stoma because you don't want the poop getting on your skin, right? The prolapse, it makes the intestine really, really wide, so it's, like, hard to take off and it hurts, and
and
then
it probably pulls it a bit, right?
right. So it's like it's a weird sensation, and the prolapses were really unpredictable, and some would take, like, 45 minutes to get back in, which I don't know if you know you pour sugar on it.
I have seen this.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's so weird, and then some of them we'd be, like, sitting pouring sugar on it for 6 hours and, like, it's not
No
going in.
way. It's like
Yeah,
that kind of thing. Wow.
yeah, and one time they actually had to surgically put it back in because it, like, wouldn't go back in, so that was the crazy part.
How many times would you say that happened over the course of you having a stoma?
Too many to remember, it happened a lot.
Really?
At least once a month, I would say. I had my
And
stoma
how
a year and a half.
yeah. Okay, so you had it about 18 months from the beginning. I know you were born with some issues, right?
Mhm.
And then this kinda came on later on in elementary school. So if you wouldn't mind, walk us through your health journey from the day you came to this earth
Right,
and
right.
up through the stoma, just to catch us up a little bit.
Okay, so I've never, like, really explained it on Instagram or anything or, like, publicly, but
Yeah,
my problem is, like, it's just, like, severe constipation.
sure.
So when I was born premature, and I'm not sure if
Mm.
that could have relation, which it probably does. I was really small, I was in the NICU for a little bit, and then
How premature was it, Ella?
a month.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah. So, obviously, I don't remember any of that, but fast forward to when I was 2 years old, I had my first surgery, and that was to widen my butthole, basically the anus sphincter, and,
Yeah.
like, the doctors were hoping since it was too small, they were hoping that, like, that would help my constipation issue, and what I remember I remember, like, them putting me to sleep in the surgery, but I was still 2, so I don't remember too many details about that. And then, I don't know, growing up till when I ended up getting my stoma was rough because I would always basically be pooping my pants because I would take laxatives every day, which
Hmm.
mostly was
Would help
Miralax.
it get out.
Right,
Yeah.
but
But you didn't have much control over it? Is like the muscle?
well, not really. The Miralax, I like had a stool ball in my stomach that was forming since I was young.
Yeah.
And the Miralax is softens the poop so it can come
Yeah.
out easier because like when it's hard you can't push it out. And that would basically be how it was poop, but the whole time like the soft poop would just go around the stool ball and come out.
Got it.
And since I needed it to be so liquidy, it would just leak out into my underwear. So
Got it.
that's kinda how life was for me for a while, till 4th grade. That's also
And what
why
did you have?
sports.
What? Sorry. And I
You're good.
so appreciate you sharing this, especially if it's the first time, because it's yeah, it's stuff. Like I can already relate to the story, so I really do appreciate it. What did you have to do to manage that up until fourth grade when you were dealing with that? And that I can't imagine how tough that must have been. And at that age in school, especially where kids don't really understand like what's
Mhm.
happening, and like how did you manage that? And what was the dynamic at school with other kids?
Right. It kept getting worse and worse as I got older. So, usually it would just be a little bit and it wouldn't smell that bad, and then as it got more and more, we just started putting, like, pads in my underwear. And this kind of makes my parents sound bad because it's like, "Oh, they're not doing anything," but at the time, we were going to a lot of doctors, and they were just like,
Yeah.
just take more Miralax, like, it'll flush it out, and they just kept increasing the dosage, and that just made it
Yeah.
more watery, and it didn't fix the buildup that was in there. So my mom was constantly looking for better doctors for it, and I'll
Mm,
get to that later, but to your
yeah.
question, I think I mean, kids are pretty stinky in general, so I
Yeah.
think that it wasn't too much of a notice, and I think if I started smelling it, I would go to the bathroom and try to, like, wipe it out, and
Sure.
like, my teachers knew, like, "You have to let me go to the bathroom whenever I need to go to the bathroom." And some of
Yeah.
my close friends, I didn't really know how to deal with the issue, so I was just like, "I poop my pants sometimes." They'd be like, "Oh, that's
Yeah.
weird," but they were pretty supportive. One thing I vividly remember from kindergarten was that because accidents happen all the time when we're young, so I remember one
Yeah.
kid pooped his pants, and then, like, he was telling the teachers about it and everything, and people were kind of laughing and like, "Oh, haha, how could he do that?" And it kinda made me feel sad inside, but I didn't I didn't really, take it too harshly. I think the
Oh.
main thing for me was since all this poop was building up in my stomach was getting bigger and bigger. Till 4th grade, it was, like, the size of a basketball. Like, it was popping out a lot because
So with the hard stool that's in there and building up, like it was just sitting there and continuing to kind of like essentially snowball. It's like it's getting bigger
Mhm.
and bigger, and it's just okay. Wow. So it wasn't getting out whatsoever. The soft was just going around it, and if anything, the soft stool was kind of attaching probably to it a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, so I
Wow.
would definitely not poop every day. It would be, like,
Yeah.
every couple days or once a week or something.
And kind of like you said, like leaky and not really like a
Yeah.
smooth. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, so it was just build up for years and years and years, and, like, we were constantly trying to find something, and it happened that the year where we got connected with a good doctor, got on the list to see GI, that I ended up going to the emergency room before we were actually able to see them, and we ended up seeing them
Mm,
from that trip, and that's why I had to get the stoma because with all the poop buildup that was there, my colon got super distended, it was super huge. They had to remove the poop, like, while I was under, and then they gave me the stoma. They also gave me a cecostomy. Do you know what cecostomy?
mm-mm.
So it's like probably that big. It's got like a little button that has a tube that leads to your colon. So I would
Okay.
pump like fluids through my colon with an IV pump every week while I had my stoma to get everything cleared out of there.
Got it.
Yeah. And sorry, I keep getting off topic, but my
No, no, no. This is so very interesting. Like in terms of having the stool that they had to remove, like obviously you said it got really big. Were you feeling it in there? Obviously at the point where you had to go to the emergency room, yes, it must have gotten really bad. But even kind of the lead up to it, did you feel just like bloated or like what was the feeling of having that in there and not and no? And maybe you didn't know what was happening or that it was that ball was in there, but what did that feel like? Bloating or just like always kind of feeling heavy or
Right. So I didn't really understand until it was out, but because I was so used to it all my life, because it had been building
yeah.
up since like before I was super conscious about it.
Wow. Okay.
Like
Yeah.
the
So it's just
bloating
normal for you.
Yeah, the bloating
Yeah.
feeling just kind of got worse and worse, and I realized that I did feel very heavy, things were super uncomfortable, and the
Yeah.
emergency room visit was when, like, one night I was trying to sleep and I couldn't because it hurt so bad, and it started being, like, more of a sharp pain instead of a bloating pain, so I think I ended up being in the hospital for about a month after I was in there, and it was during the school year, so I missed quite a bit of 4th grade, but people knew I was in the hospital, they didn't know what for, and I was lucky that everybody was super supportive, and my class, like, they wrote a bunch of cards for me, and they were super happy when I came back, and that's a whole 'nother thing because, as you probably know, people when you're sick, people are way nicer to you, and yeah. So, I felt a lot of that from some girls who weren't being very nice to me in 4th grade, and then I got to the hospital I got back from the hospital, and they were being my best friends afterwards, so,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Did you feel like it was a little ingenuine?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. That's mainly the issue, and I'm actually still dealing with it right now. I've kind of like, from what I've shared on Instagram from last year when I shared it, it's been like, "Oh, all of this is over now, and I'm doing a lot better, I'm able to play, things
Yeah.
are going great," which is
Yeah.
what I kind of thought, but within the last year, I've been having a lot more, like, constipation issues. PPA Atlanta, I was backed up for, like, a week. Things were super uncomfortable. I had to take a ton of laxatives the day before I played. And then
Yeah.
everything was leaky, watery while I was playing, and, like, my energy was gone, I was feeling terrible, and, I ended up in the hospital, like, a month later, they had to surgically remove poop again, so it's been a lot, but that was May, and then after San Clemente, which was late June, was when I was in the hospital. I was discharged on the 4th of July, and then I actually recently had a hospital visit about 3 weeks ago where I was backed up again for another couple days, but it was less bad because I was leaving to a trip to play in Boise, and then I had been backed up, and I also did enemas, and,
Mhm.
like, I was doing, like, 6 enemas and nothing would come out, and
Yeah.
lots of
Is it because of the same issue of it getting to be like too firm and too big? Is that why it's not coming out?
That's kind of what we're trying to figure out, which I think
Yeah.
that's what it is, and after doing some more X-rays and tests, my colon is a little irritated currently right now. It's definitely not quite as bad as, like, the 8 years of buildup it was
Yeah.
before, but we're gonna have to figure out how to do that, and that's kind of what I'm dealing with right now. I'm on a regimen taking laxatives every day that they don't make me feel great, they make me feel tired, they cramp my stomach,
Yeah.
but it's better than not pooping, and also better than not having to get a stoma again for me. Yeah, and I think we're the doctors kinda screwed me over that I've been seeing the last couple months because they took me off certain medications, and they were the reason that I ended up in the hospital that time. Um, we're seeing a really good doctor now, so things are going better, and I'm really hopeful for it.
Very similar in terms of like just like
Yeah.
the roller coaster of emotions, right? You think this solves it, and then another thing pops back up and you're having the same issues, and then the whole deal with doctors too.
I
I've
know,
had
it's crazy.
similar experiences where you could talk to 5 different GI doctors and they'll all tell you different things and they'll all have different paths they want you to go down, and it's super frustrating.
Yeah. No, I
I
bet
feel
you.
you there because it's the surgery, and then you're like, "Okay, I can breathe for a little bit. I don't have to deal with this as much anymore." I got the colostomy in February. I
Oh,
had real relief pain-wise, I would say for the first 3 to 4 months.
oh,
It did give my bottom a break. Whenever I would have, like, really, really bad pain would be after, a bowel movement, after I would go to the bathroom, which for me, that's at least once in the morning and sometimes in the
right.
afternoon. I didn't have crazy urgency or anything, but every time I would go, the pain would just fully take over. inflame the area. And then, like you mentioned, I was on a bunch of biologics and different medications. And whenever the pain would get bad, I would just be so fatigued where I would struggle to do anything, like get off the couch.
Right.
The colostomy healed that for a bit. It calmed it down. I would say over the summer, it started to come back again and be pretty active. So I'm in the middle. I just had an MRI last week, and just to try to see, just for the colorectal surgeon, to what's happening with the fistula tracts. And I just got the results back. It shows that because I have similar to stuff you deal with the pads and the leakage and stuff. I have the same thing, but not from stool, from my fistula openings where I have drainage there. So I basically have three. Do you know what a ceton drain is?
I don't.
Okay. So for fistulas are essentially like tracts that form in and around your anus. So it's basically like my Crohn's showed in basically where the small intestine connects to the large intestine. It showed some ulcerations, but basically it creates this fluid that goes into my bottom. And the first time I ever felt a symptom, it just had nowhere to go. So it opened this track, and then it just got stuck, and then it just kept, similar to your situation with your stool. The fluid kept building because it had nowhere to go. And the more it built, the more pressure I would feel and the more pain I would feel, very similar to your situation. And eventually it either ruptures, or you go septic, and then you get very sick and go to the hospital. I went to the ER, got it drained initially, and thought, I'm done. Like, this is okay. This is weird, but it's gone. It's draining. Okay, I can go back to my normal life. But that was just really the start of it, to where it would keep happening. So it would build up again, have nowhere to go. I'd have to get it drained. So what the ceton drains do, I had this surgery first time in Texas in 2022. It's these wires essentially that so you have the tracts. Mine's called a horseshoe complex fistula, which just means it's on both sides, and the tracks go, and then it like branches off into little different directions type stuff. Basically, to solve the pain and the abscess that would form if there was nowhere to go, you loop the wires through the tracks. So it's basically like a circle essentially,
Wow.
but it goes through, then they tie it off. Sorry, I got this little gnat. Then they tie it off, and then all that does is, like, when the fluid comes, it allows it to just drain out, so it doesn't create that pressure and build up. So I've got 3 of those three different wires that are looping through, because you want it to go through every tract that you have of the fistula. So none of the fluid can get stuck, because when the fluid gets stuck is when it gets really painful. Similar to you, I tried pads for a while. And obviously that's good for not letting it get onto my underwear or my shorts or my pants or whatever. But it was really making my skin irritated, like in between my cheeks, because there's so much moisture all the time.
Right.
And you probably get that. So I found this really soft gauze that's nice. This is like kind of nerding out on what to put between your butt cheeks, but I found a really, really nice gauze that's very soft, that is comfortable. So I put that in, and then it'll soak, and then I change it 4 or 5 times a day just to keep the area clean and dry. But it is helpful. So that's fistulas and ceton drains. It's basically these little wires that allow it to drain, so the pain doesn't build up.
That's crazy.
But is your condition, obviously it came at birth, but it still feels like they don't really know, right? And then that frustrating is the uncertainty of like, how come you guys can't figure this out and help me? It's got to be so frustrating, right?
Yeah, I think it's tough. And I think, like, as you were saying, and as we've both experienced, like, doctors, they'll help you with your current problem. Like, I'm coming in with this problem, help me fix it. But they're not really gonna help you from, like, having it, like, preventing it from happening
Come back,
again.
right? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or, like, they're not gonna tell you, oh, this could happen, this could happen. So, like, honestly, anything can happen to you on any given day. And I experienced that a lot with my stoma. I think with me, there's a lot of routes that they can take, and they've tried to just keep me on, like, actually I have it right here, like Senna, which is a laxative, and Miralax, which is another laxative, but it's easy to have it build up again. And they haven't really told me, like, what we can really do to prevent it from happening, but what they're leaning towards is something called high volume enemas, which is like just pumping like a huge volume of like saline into your butt,
Yep.
having like things come out, and they think that that'll help flush out my colon well, and then like have it like kind of go back to normal, working normal. But I'm probably
Yeah.
gonna have to keep doing that for the rest of my life. But and it's not ideal, like the things that we have to do, like you having a stoma, but like we do what we got to do, and I'm hopeful that
Yeah.
it'll work out. But the
Yeah.
frustration with doctors is real.
Yeah. No, it
Yeah,
is. And I think it's a good point though, because you just do what you got to do because it changes how you live. Like
right. Yeah,
in a sense of, am I not going to change my bag?
yeah.
You're forced to a new reality, and you're forced to live in a new way. Your
Mhm.
body is your body, and it's doing what it's doing, and you don't really have a choice but to adjust to how it can function properly for
Right.
you.
Yeah, and, like, with my stoma, it just, like, it brings so many new lifestyle changes. Like, obviously, living before my stoma, it was, like, terrible. I was always low energy, always bloated, always leaking poop. But when I got my stoma, like, new things happened. Like, I had to watch out, no prolapses. I gotta be careful, like, that I'm drinking a lot, and I don't know what else can happen to my stoma because it's been crazy.
Yeah.
I also you probably get this, like, having the sticker on 24/7, poop ends up getting through sometimes, so the skin around the
Yeah.
stomach gets super irritated. I sat, like, every time I changed, which I think was every couple days, I would just, like, sit with the Dixie cup, hold it on my stoma, and try to let myself breathe. I don't know if you do any of that, but
Dixie cup, no, but that's like a perfect thing to do.
right. So just stuff like that. And then I don't know. I think it's just scary, like having a bag. And also, like if you run out of supplies, you're screwed. Like you're in Asia
Yeah.
and I bet getting supplies is really
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah. I came over with 2 bags. One bag was full of just pouches and supplies, powder, adhesives, adhesive removers, just
All the good
so
stuff.
luckily I haven't had to figure out how to get new supplies yet because I'm also not on health insurance here, which
Okay.
whole nother long story, but care here is less expensive, but similar to you probably, I'm getting an MRI very regularly, I'm getting colonoscopies very regularly. I'm like getting the ceton drains. I've got like a new tract that's formed
Mhm.
there's not a drain in, so I'm feeling pain. And every time that happens, I have to do a surgery called exam under anesthesia where they
Yeah.
basically put me under and then go and explore and figure out where to put the new wires. So,
Wow.
but anything under anesthesia is going to be expensive
Right.
when you're paying out of pocket, even if I'm in Asia.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So there's lots still to figure out in terms of like supplies and also just costs of care because I mean,
Yeah, and I don't know, like, I'm sorry that that's still going on, and I know, like, what the pain is of, like, having something inside that is painful and it won't come out, because like, that's one of the worst things, especially when there's a lot of pressure there, and yeah, price is crazy because 'cause I'll look at the how much, like, our insurance has paid and then, like, how much is out of
yeah,
pocket, and it's insane, and it's really frustrating because sometimes like, I bet you felt that some things that you've had to be done has been a doctor's fault, or that you
absolutely.
didn't need to
Yeah,
see, like, 10 doctors coming in the room and charging you every time because they're all saying the same thing, or they're all saying different
absolutely.
things that aren't helping, so I don't
Yeah. No, it's absolutely true. I just wondered, is this just to extract more money or is this actually for the benefit of me, you know?
right, yeah.
With your ostomy, it's so interesting because mine it wasn't like a medical emergency for me to have like I didn't wake up with it and was like, "Oh my god, what is that?" I had exhausted all my other options and I didn't know what else to do. And like to me it was my last resort. Like
Mhm,
I just knew that I couldn't keep living
mhm.
in that same amount of pain. So I think it's a
Is, like, to rest your colon or
it's basically to see if it'll cause the fistulas and stuff to heal and calm down.
okay.
Because every time I would have a bowel movement through my bottom
Oh,
is when
got it.
it would really get irritated and
Right.
cause me a ton of pain. So the fact they were hopeful that like, if that wasn't happening, then the fistulas would kind of calm down. They would
Mhm.
close up and they would heal.
And they've kind of started back up again.
Yeah, and the pain's nowhere near what it was, to be fair. It
Right.
was before it was I would go to the bathroom in the morning and then day's pretty much over. Like I'm out for the count.
Yeah.
But
Sorry.
now I'm not having bowel movements through my bottom, so it's better, but I'm still in pain, which is super frustrating. I thought, and kind of the way it was explained to me talking about doctors again was that this would be the solve. This would be what like makes this go away. I knew research that obviously like perianal Crohn's and fistulas are like just hard to treat. Even most of the medications out there are geared towards treating Crohn's in the gut,
Yeah.
not so much fistulas. So I saw that like for people with fistulas that get reversals, that the recurrence rate of fistulas actually coming back after the reversal was like 80 to 90% that fistulas would come back. So I went into the surgery for the colostomy just understanding that I might have this forever and I have to be okay with that if I'm going to do the surgery.
Yeah.
It's so impossible to really understand what it's going to be like until you
I
actually
know.
have the
Yeah.
stoma.
It's crazy.
But it's a much tougher thing, I think, for somebody that doesn't have a choice in it, in a sense. I didn't feel like I had a choice, but I could prepare at least, you know?
Mhm.
Were you able to prepare whatsoever? Because it's such a different experience, I think, for those people that really just wake up with one or have no time to really wrap their mind around it.
Right. I don't I didn't really have that much time because it was the same hospital trip where, like, I went into the ER and then they admitted me, X-rays, all the fun stuff, removing the poop, putting me under, talking to doctors all day, waking up from my IV in the middle of the night, waking up from vital checks through the night, all of
Yeah.
that. And, I 4th grade, it was recent, but it was still a long time ago. I remember them explaining to me what it was, and like, that was kind of the decision that had to be made, but I didn't really have time to research, prepare, we kind of
That was in hospital?
Yeah, so it was all in the
Yeah.
hospital. Same visit, I got the stoma, and then it was kind of weird because I had 3 or 4 days of recovery maybe, and then they sent me home, and
Yeah.
I went to school, like, a couple days later, and then, like, a bunch of problems started happening because they didn't tell us about anything. The bags that they initially sent us off with were too small because overnight they were filling up and, like, couldn't contain it. I ended up back in the ER a little bit because, as you know, super dehydrating. And my stool was all coming out as liquid, and
Yeah.
it was bad. So we went back to the ER. They gave me an IV. They're like, okay, you can go back. And then, like, 2 days later, we're back in the ER. I'm throwing up. Things are bad. I have to get more medicine prescribed to me to make sure it doesn't happen again. And then, like, all this other stuff happens later. So it is a crazy experience. And like you said, no one can really explain it unless you or understand it unless you live through it. And also, like you said, it's kind of something that when you get your stoma, you're like, okay, I'm waking up in the middle of the night. I have to go change my bag. Or I have a prolapse, something is wrong. Like, I have to go fix it, even if I don't want to, because that's just how it is. So, yeah, it's crazy and it's an interesting topic to think about. And like, I think it's really cool to talk to you because, like I said, I've never talked to someone who like quite really understands what that's like. And
Yeah.
what kept me going was, and this is not gonna sound great because I feel really bad, but like I knew that I would get my stoma off. Like I knew I would
Yep.
get it reversed. And I don't know how like I would still be dealing with it now if I had it, but like I would have to. And
Like we talked about, we do what we got to do, right? No
yeah.
matter what the issue is. So the same way you're dealing with your other stuff, it's kind of my mindset with the stoma. It's just, what choice do I have? But I do find that to be really fascinating and interesting because we went into it with kind of different mindsets, which I find to be pretty cool actually, is that
Yeah.
like what gave you kind of solace and hope was knowing that it was going to come off. What kind of gives me solace and hope is knowing that there's less uncertainty for me getting this reversed because a much worse case scenario for me is getting this reversed and then going through the fistula pain that I was dealing with before that was going through my bottom. because to me, truly, like, it makes me emotional even like thinking about it. Like, I would take this 10 out of 10 times versus the pain I was dealing with before. Even though I'm dealing with pain now, it's night and day what it was before. So,
Yeah. No, I
yeah.
understand that, and that's really hard. Yeah. I think it's really inspiring, and I love that you share your story, and I know that, like, everything you share is just a small part of it because there's so much more behind the scenes, and, like, there's so much more going on, and, like, I really feel for you for that.
No, I feel for you. It's like you've dealt with stuff since you were so young that you didn't even remember. And also, so your mom and the people, your
Mhm.
friends and the people close to you that have seen you go through it all, that's really tough too,
Yeah. And
especially for people that
yeah.
love you and care for you.
My mom was, like, she was with me, she was the one who stayed with me most of the time. My recent visits, my dad has stayed with me, but, like, my mom was there, like, through all those surgeries and everything. And, like,
Mm,
some days, like, yeah, you're gonna be screaming in pain, like, I can't handle it." I, like, crying crazy. One time when they were trying to push my prolapse back in when it wouldn't go back in, and, like, that's really bad, and I just remember my mom saying, like, "I wish I could take your pain away and, like, have it for me instead," because sometimes it's
yeah,
worse to watch people you love deal with it. And even
yeah,
now, like, if the conversation comes up with the stoma, like, my dad has a hard time talking about it because it's just so hard to talk about and remember, and, like,
yeah.
now that stuff is starting to kind of go downhill now, I've been really scared that things would just spiral. That's why, like, when things were bad and it got to a certain point, I was like, "Okay, I have to go see doctors again, like, this cannot
Yeah.
happen again, I can't walk around, like, pooping my pants everywhere, having stool that won't come out, because, like I said, that's a really hard feeling to have, because, like, stuff was just pushing at my bottom and it wouldn't come out, and I felt it, like, right there, but it's just, like, it can't make its way through. So
And how is all of this? Because what we haven't talked a whole lot about is you found pickleball,
right, yeah,
which Which
bag
is
and
which is
paddle.
amazing. Yes, which is amazing though, because were you able to be active like through the Stoma years or prior to that when you had that built up, or were you not able to be active at all?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I come from a family of athletes. My parents, they met playing tennis. Like, they're not
Mm,
together anymore, but, like, they met playing tennis. My brother is, like, an exceptional athlete. He's good at everything he tries. I was, like,
yeah.
the one person in the family that could not catch a ball until I was probably 13 when I started playing pickleball.
But is that because you were dealing with the health stuff and you just like weren't playing sports because of that?
Yeah. So I never
Yeah,
did anything like coordinating because I didn't want to, and I think the reason I didn't want to is because it was always uncomfortable, and I didn't really
yeah,
understand that that wasn't normal. Like, my dad and mom, they would, like, go take me to the tennis court and be like, "Okay, let's hit some balls," and I'd be like, "Hit
yeah,
3 balls," and then, "I wanna play store with the balls," and I just, like, start stacking balls on the side.
yeah,
That was kind of my thing, and I
yeah.
I didn't really appreciate sports as much as I do now just because I didn't enjoy it, and I think I always felt kinda left out because my whole family was really athletic. Like, my grandparents even play tennis still, and
Mm,
they're in their mid-70s.
amazing.
What I did do actually though was I skied, and the thing with skiing was I skied that was the only close to athletic thing I did when I had my stoma. So, I still skied through my stoma, and at that time, I was really scared because if I fell down, like, it would be an immediate
Yeah,
collapse. But I think
and the bag would come off most likely.
yeah. And I actually remember in middle school not middle school, elementary school, we were doing, like, a jump rope competition or something, like who can jump rope the longest. So I
Yeah,
start jump roping, and it's on the same day where we get a new long-term sub. So I didn't introduce myself. I didn't say like, "Hey, I have an ileostomy. I'm gonna need to go out like to the nurses if I ever need to run out of class." But I was like, "Oh, it's fine.
yeah,
I'll do it at the end of this class." But
yeah.
I jump rope, and since I have a two-piece bag, the connection it just falls off and like splats on the ground. And
Hmm.
freaked out. Most of the kids in my 5th grade class, they didn't know what I had, so I just, like, picked up the bag, held it on my stomach, and ran out of no, I ran to the teacher, I was like, "I can't explain this right now, but, like, there's poop on the ground, I gotta go to the nurse's office." And then
Mm.
I, like, ran out to the nurse's office, called my parents, and then I was really scared because I was like, "Oh my god, my class just saw what happened." But,
Yeah.
like, when I came back, some of my friends didn't notice what really happened, and we didn't talk about it again, but it's just stuff like that that happens. And, yeah, like, my mom came to pick me up, I think, and then I showered, changed, and I went back to school the same day.
Yeah.
Uh,
But but honestly, I've had a couple experiences like that too. I mean, easy to look back on it and laugh, but for me, even as like a grown adult, like it's still pretty mortifying.
it is.
It's legitimately pretty traumatic. And I don't know, maybe it's just as like me who's supposed to be a supposed to be a grown adult and a man. I guess I am not supposed to be, but it's even stranger, right? Because as guys, you're supposed to be strong and you're supposed to be put together and all of that. And to feel like you don't really have control over something like this is a really weird feeling. It's like
Right.
I'm at the mercy of I'm at the mercy of my body. And as a guy, it's I think when something happens like a bag leak or in my instance, like a bag explosion is was more apt.
That's happened to
Um,
me too.
it just makes you
Yeah.
it just makes you feel weird.
Right,
Man, like I have no control over
right.
what's happening.
That's really tough, I think, and especially because it's, like, our issue or condition, like, having a bag, it's such a like, poop is such a thing that people don't talk about, and people are
Yeah,
grossed out by it, and it's like, stay away from that topic,
yeah.
and it's, like, something where that's a big part of our lives, I guess, and
Every day, every person in the world,
yeah,
every single day.
exactly. Yeah,
Like you
so
eat food, it goes somewhere.
right, or, like,
Mhm.
you probably get your stomach farting all the time in public,
Yes,
and then people
all the time.
yeah, and then
Like, yeah.
yeah,
What is that?
yeah, I used to look around like, who
It's
farted?"
that guy. It's that guy. It's that
Yeah,
guy. That guy.
and I think what you're saying is true. As a man, you're supposed to be strong, but, like, having an experience with the bag, it shows that you're stronger, but it's also hard to deal with, and I guess it makes you feel like you're on a lower level than the people that you're around when you have a bag.
Yeah, yeah. So your situations. Why do I have to deal with this? I don't think about that all the time. Most of
It's
the time, it's like you said. This is my reality, and I have no choice but to deal with it,
but it's
unless I
still
just
hard.
want to. But it's still hard.
Yeah.
It is.
And, like, I still do, and I often compare myself to other people. I'm like, "Well,
Yeah,
they don't have to deal with this. They have it easier," or I don't know, stuff like that. I think I know that a lot of it isn't true, but it's still something that's there, and I know that everyone has their own hard things that they have to deal with, but, like, it's hard.
yeah.
Yeah.
It is hard, and that's okay to say. I think it's no shame in it being hard. Um, for
Have
you asked
you
me if I have one piece or two piece earlier. I'll just
Oh,
tell
yeah.
the story really quick. So, when you come home, I had a bunch of the different ostomy companies send you a bunch of different supplies. You get to test
Right.
different things out. I had no idea like what I should use. I saw a lot of
Same.
like use two piece. So I tried two pieces for a while. Every bad experience I've had in terms of like mortifying stuff
Like
has been with a two
explosions?
piece,
Okay,
like explosions.
got it.
And reason being is what I would do with a two piece, and this is a little gross, but I would do this by myself most of the time when it would happen, if I was in bed or something, or if I was on the couch. But as you know, when stuff's happening, I notice it more with two pieces. The bag would balloon a little bit if there's just gas going in and it wasn't filtering out. So to get the gas out with the two piece, I would basically just open the top of it just to let the air out and basically press the gas out. Obviously, that air comes directly up into my nose and
Dude, it
smells
smells so
terrible.
bad, it's so
It
bad.
smells so bad. I'm like,
So
I
bad,
hope
yeah.
nobody is around for this. This is a smell that nobody should smell. Sometimes, not sometimes. One time I thought, bags ballooning because there's air in it. It wasn't air. It was not air. It was like
Oh,
with the colostomy, most of my stools usually like thick, but this
yeah.
time it was
Water.
water. So like when I was pressing it, it didn't feel like stool. It just felt like air, but it was
Dude,
watery. Opened it everywhere, all over the couch. all over the couch. I threw the bag off because it was a 2-piece, like everywhere. I spent like the next day cleaning up the
Oh,
condo.
that's
So that's one. The second one was also with a 2-piece. And this was worse because this was at a coffee shop. I was working at a coffee shop and I felt the bag, getting big. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go to the bathroom. So I was at least in the bathroom, went into the stall. So I always wear a belt just because it keeps it tight and keeps it flat to my body because my stoma is actually pretty high up. So it's not close down to my waistline where my pants would go over it. You can probably see it. It's like up
Oh, I
that
see.
high. So it comes all the way up here. You can basically see the whole bag
Yeah.
if I'm not wearing a belt. So I
Yeah.
always wear a belt just
Mine
to
was
keep
like
it
right
so
here.
much,
Starts
much
there.
lower than.
Yeah.
Okay. The belt I was wearing, some of the belts have, I wish I had one right here. I do. One second. So the belts I like have a zipper
Oh,
like at the very bottom. It's
okay.
like
I never wore one of those. That's cool.
down there. So basically you have the hole right there and then you put it on like this. The bag sits inside it and then I can just open this in the very bottom to empty it.
That's
But
cool.
the belt that I was using had a zipper up here instead of down here. So when I was doing it, I unzipped it. And then from here, you have to like reach down and pull the
And
bag
cool.
and pull it up.
Came off.
Pulled the bag up. It was really full. I pulled it up. It wasn't attached strongly, I guess. And it everywhere in this public bathroom and not just everywhere in the public bathroom, all over my clothes. I was covered all over my shorts, my shirt, and I was panicking all over my shoes, socks. It was
Yeah.
just, I'm talking fully covered. And I'm like scrambling to clean up the bathroom. It's all over the floor. I'm covered in it. And I hadn't paid yet, so I had to pay on my way out and it's all over me. I went into full panic mode, cleaned up as best as I could, hustled out of the bathroom, just got my computer, my bag, went to the car, went home, changed, came back and paid, mortified because I knew like as best as I cleaned up in the bathroom, I knew it was still not enough and it was still probably smelling. But so my that was the last 2-piece bag I ever wore because this is too big of a point of failure. I've never had this happen with a 1-piece and with a
Yeah.
2-piece. If this can happen, I'm not in for this. So
Yeah.
I've gone 1-piece ever since. Never had an issue with a 1-piece.
Okay, that's good. And I think I've had similar experiences with a 2-piece because that thing, it's like, it's firm, but it's really easy to peel off.
It is,
And
yeah.
when it's full, it just like, so I actually, while I had my bag, my parents were trying to, I think, keep everything as normal as possible and let me still have experiences that I wanted to have while I had my bag. So I went to an overnight summer camp and that's like one of those where you don't have direct contact with parents or anything. So you're just with the counselors and with random people there that you just met. And I think probably like halfway through the week, there was an experience that's kind of similar to that. People were playing Gaga Ball. I don't know if you know it, but I couldn't play it because like anything that I would do athletically, I would have a prolapse. I'm like, I can't have a prolapse here. I ended up having a prolapse at that camp, but it wasn't that bad. I got it back in pretty fast.
Sugar?
Yeah, sugar. And it's so
People are
weird.
like, why are you looking for sugar right now?
Yeah, I know. And sometimes I'm like, oh, okay, I need to find sugar. Or like my mom would come to school when I'm trying to get it back in and she was like, oh, does anybody have sugar? And then like a teacher would be like, I have a granola bar.
Not the same.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, a little granola on top of it. Yeah.
Just like sprinkle. Oh, yeah. So in this summer camp, you always have to travel in a group of 3, even if you're with a counselor. So I felt my bag filling up really rapidly. And I was like, oh, I gotta get to a bathroom. So I went to the counselor and I wasn't that rushed, but like, I have to go find a bathroom now. Like, I have to empty this bag or else bad things will happen. And I don't really know if I explained entirely what it was, but
This
she
is
knew.
for your safety, not mine. It's like, this is for the good of everybody. Trust me. Yeah.
Right. So we found my other friend and I don't think I told her about it, but I kind of explained it. And then we start going to the bathroom. But then all of a sudden, like the bag is completely full. The 2-piece is like really, I don't remember if it came out of the opening between the thing you stick on and the bag itself.
Yep.
Or if it's
Or
like
underneath.
the opening of the bag. But I just remember everything started spilling out all over me, like right when we were about to like start walking to the bathroom. like, luckily, the counselor's car was nearby, and I was just like, "Oh, guys, 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 like, poop is like, I'm gonna be covered in poop, like, we gotta do something really quickly." So the counselor grabs a towel from her car, and I'm like, my legs are covered in poop at this point, like, my shorts are covered in poop, and,
Mm.
like, I grab it from her, I, like, wipe it up, and then I run to the bathroom, and it takes a while to clean up, 'cause, so I'm, like, showering in the bathroom, trying to clean everything up. I don't even remember what I did with my clothes, and then everybody ends up coming back to the cabin, and then they're like, "What happened to you?" And we just said, like, "A toilet blew up on me." But it's just stuff like that that it like, you go into panic mode, you don't know what to do, like,
Yeah.
poop is coming down onto all of your clothes, your legs, and, like, you're in a public place.
It's really like fight or flight mode, right? You just go into overdrive immediately of
Like,
I
I
gotta
gotta
I
do
gotta fix
something.
this somehow. Yeah, I gotta do something. Oh, I'm so sorry though. People don't really understand the stories behind it. Like, right? It's like you look normal, you look like you're another kid. People have no idea what you're dealing with behind the scenes, which is
Right.
why people should always be nice to everybody because whether it's a bag or whether it's we look at other people like, man, I wish I was like them. But at the same time, like this is our struggle. They have things going on too, right? It might
Sure.
not be as obvious or like a sickness or a health thing. It could be maybe their parents are terrible to them. Maybe they just lost their grandparent. Whatever. Like there's everybody's struggling with something, and it's just a reminder to be
Yeah.
kind.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And that's also a thing where it's like, why why do people hate on poop so much or like think it's funny?
It's
Someone
true.
pants like, "Oh, haha, you pooped your pants," but like it happens. And
Yeah.
yeah. I
And
I
it doesn't usually happen because you want it to happen, like, you're not doing
right.
it on
I'm
purpose.
not
It's
trying to
like
like poop in my
it's
pants.
because something's wrong, right?
Yeah.
It's because like,
Yeah.
you're struggling with something health-wise that you don't have control over.
Right. I was wondering, have you ever talked to anybody who's like had a stoma before?
This is really interesting because so I had the stoma done in February of this year, and I went to the United Ostomy Conference in, I believe it was August. That was the first time that I had been around people that had a stoma, and you remember when you said this is gonna sound bad, but, like, what gave you hope was knowing that it was gonna get reversed? This is gonna sound bad too, but
Okay.
even knowing that mine probably won't be reversed, and I think having these conversations is so important for this reason, is being at that conference and seeing like so it was at this resort in Orlando, and people would go to the pool. There was a nice pool, kind of a resort-ish type place, hotel, where they had the conference, and it was the first time I'd seen people with just their bag out, right? Going to the pool in their bathing suit with their bag out. And even for me, who has an ostomy, there was a stigma even for me seeing that. It was
Right.
like, oh, why are
Right.
they doing that? That's weird. That's weird. But that's a me thing, right? That's like, that just shows that I'm not okay with it yet, that I'm not okay with what I have, and I'm not okay with. So it was a really interesting reflection for me on my own issues and my own stigma towards ostomies. On not just other people, but also myself. To me, that was like a big eye opener of, yeah, you're talking about this a little bit, but you're not really okay with it.
Right.
It was really fascinating.
Yeah.
And it was, yeah, it was a weird reflection back on me of like, wow, I'm judging and I have it. It
Right.
was
Yeah.
odd. It was odd.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think seeing anything that's different from the normal is always tough. And
Even if I have it,
I
it was
know.
like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
how am I thinking anything other than like good for them? You know?
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
Yeah. And maybe it's because like you're I don't know, maybe less open about it than they are. Like, oh, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to show everybody my stoma. And I completely understand that.
Yeah.
Um yeah. So
'Cause that's
I,
another thing is like I'll show it on social, but if I'm out and about in real life, living my life, I've got a belt on that keeps it very tight and nobody would know that I have it. And is that like, what is that for? Is that, yes, one, I would say it's more comfortable and I don't like having the imprint of it show through my clothes. To me, it's
right.
just like, like I'd rather it just look like a normal, I get normal. But it just, for me, like that experience at the conference, like just brought interesting questions for me to like look at myself and kind of explore like, why do I feel like that? Why did I think that? And to me, it just meant that I'm still not okay with with my body, essentially, because it's a new body. It's a new,
It's completely different.
yeah. And having wires go through my butt and this bag on my stomach, and it's a lot to kind of reconcile in your brain. And but it felt like man, it felt like really bad to see it and to feel like that, right? It's like,
Yeah.
who am I? Like,
Right.
I share this
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
And yeah. So
I
I don't
think
know. I'm still trying to figure that out.
maybe it could be related to, like, what we were saying before. Even though you, like, researched stomas and stuff and it was kind of your choice, like, even, like, if you spend forever researching, like, every time someone gets a stoma, I feel like, you're getting rushed into it. And like we said, you can't understand the experience by reading anything or even talking to someone about it. Like it
Yeah.
happens to you and you're like, oh my God, this is crazy. But like we said, you're forced to do it. You have to deal with it. So it could be something as like, I think I had the same thing to where it was happening to me and I hadn't really come to terms with it. And I think I still have it because my memories of having my stoma it's vivid, but it feels like it was another life ago. Like,
Yeah.
it's just super strange to think about, like, that was me, that was how I was, and that was something I was constantly dealing with. And then before my stoma, when I looked pregnant, but it was all poop, like, that's
Yeah.
another life ago, and it's so weird to think about.
Did you have any issues post reversal?
Not really anything crazy.
Like it
So
started working pretty right away, like coming out
right.
the
So
bottom fine.
I kept my Cectomy, which was the tube that
Mm.
led through the colon. So I would still keep doing weekly flushes, and that was kind of backup to where if I got constipated again, I could just go through the top and flush everything out. What I talked to about a doctor recently actually was she thinks the Cectomy was closed prematurely. She doesn't know why.
Mm.
The other doctors close it so quickly. But what happened with that when I got the Cectomy removed is with the Cectomy, that's something that you can just pull out and it's weird. So the doctor like takes the button, they pull it out, and they're like, okay, this tiny little hole in your stomach will heal in 72 hours. It'll be fine. So I waited, it didn't heal. It was still open. Um
Mm.
and that's also weird because you actually like have a tiny little hole in your stomach that's connected to your colon that poop is leaking out of. And I was like, whoa, this is weird. Like 2 years after my stoma got closed. So
Oh, wow.
it was like
Wow, wow, wow.
yeah, it was kind of coming back again and stuff like that was happening. And I had actually gotten rid of most of my stoma supplies.
Mm.
So I didn't have a lot to deal with the small hole and I didn't really know what to do. But we talked to the doctors about it and I had a trip to Europe to visit some family in Romania and see some of my dad's girlfriend's family in Turkey. And I went on the trip with the hole in my stomach to Europe and I would just like keep changing gauze on it. And then I don't know,
So
it
what
was
would you just have gauze and tape over it?
yeah.
Yeah.
So the skin was irritated. Obviously, it doesn't like not nearly as much poop comes out as a stoma. It's just like little
Yeah.
leaks. But it's still weird to have like a hole in your stomach that's leaking.
Of
And I think
course.
yeah. So I also had
Yes.
surgery for that to close. And then I was mostly okay. I was on medicine, and I think mainly it's my fault why my problem started coming back again because I started playing pickleball and I realized how tired my medicine made me feel and how
Yeah.
dehydrated it was making me. So I kind of went through this thing to where we weren't regularly seeing doctors anymore. I don't know why we stopped. I don't know. We
Because you
don't.
see doctors so often, you're like,
Right.
okay, I don't want
Yeah.
to see another doctor for a
Yeah.
lifetime.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm doing great. Like, I'm pooping every day, but my poop was super soft and I was still dealing with some leakage issues every here and there.
Yeah.
But I started playing and like, okay, I'm like betting my knees getting down low and then like some stuff is leaking or I'm getting really
Yeah.
tired really easily. And as I got through higher levels, like before tournament day or before a practice day, I wouldn't want to take my medicine. So I
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
I wouldn't and then I would feel great not taking it and I would still be pooping, but then it would just stop. And then I would go through cycles to where like I wouldn't poop for a week. And then I would have to take a bunch, stuff would get flushed out, and then it just like kept going on and on. And that is my fault because I shouldn't have stopped taking the medicine, but the doctors didn't really tell me like you're going to have to take this all the time. And there was a period of time to where I wouldn't be taking the medicine and I was pooping great. So I thought, "Oh, maybe
Yeah.
like everything's working normal and I'll be okay." And then that also caused more backups, and it just kept getting worse and worse, especially this last year, to where I went to see a clinic and they told me, we're going to take you off of your stool softener completely, because I was telling them, like, that's what's making me feel tired. And
Mm.
if there's a way I can get off of it, and a better way where I can still poop, like, I'd love to. They're like, "Oh,
Yeah.
we completely agree with you. We don't like people taking Miralax in this clinic. We don't think it's right, and like we don't think that's the best solution. So we're gonna put you only on Senna." And what Senna is it's supposed to stimulate your colon to where it'll push poop out and
Yeah.
like give you a bowel movement. And it's supposed to like break up your poop a little bit inside, but it doesn't really make it softer. And they also told me to eat soluble fibers, so I was eating a bunch of chia seeds all day just so
Yeah.
like things would be formed but also liquidy, which didn't really make sense not having the stool softener. And once I went off Miralax, I didn't poop at all unless I did an enema. So I would do like a small glycerin enema, and I did that for an entire month. And the
Mm.
only reason that I didn't really say something was because I was like, "Oh, I haven't pooped for a couple days. What should I do?" They told me to do this enema. I used it.
Yeah.
I felt so empty after. Like things
Yeah.
cleared out great. Poop was like not even too soft, and it came out like I was like, "Oh my god, this is the answer."
We
Like
fix it.
this
Yeah.
is amazing. But then I kept using it that month, and then I would do one, and then I would have to use two to like get a small bowel movement. And then it came to the point where I had the San Clemente tournament coming up. And then right after I got back, I was supposed to have, like you kind of mentioned, an exam under anesthesia where they were going to see if there was something wrong down there mechanically
Yeah.
preventing poop from coming.
Yeah.
Because I had the opening, like the widening of the anal sphincter surgery when I was 2, so maybe it's not wide enough to where it should be now.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna make it through San Clemente, I'm gonna do these enemas, and then I'm gonna go, I get to talk to the good doctor there, and they're gonna do this exam, and we'll see where it goes. But San Clemente, I brought a lot of enemas, I was doing them. Not a lot of poop was coming out. So I was pretty uncomfortable throughout that entire tournament. I wasn't feeling great. And then when I got back before I could even go to the exam under anesthesia, I ended up in the hospital. And I was there for 3 days when I really only should have been there for 1 or 2 because I was calling with the clinic. I tried a bunch of things. They're like, okay, we're going to put you on some Miralax. Like, go do this Miralax flush and it should help things. So I started drinking the Miralax after trying a bunch of different kinds of enemas because Miralax really kind of works on like top to bottom instead of clearing out the blockage at the bottom, and then it
Yeah.
kind of pushes things down. So what happened when I started drinking the Miralax was it started stimulating everything, and stuff was softer at the top, but there's so much hard stool at the bottom to where like I felt like I needed to go, and everything started pushing on my bottom, but it just didn't come out, and
Yeah.
it hurt really, really bad. So I had to cancel some pickleball practices and
Yeah.
I had to go to the ER. And they told me that, like, you have to go to the ER to get a disimpaction. And I'm like, okay, that's probably gonna be where they knock me out and take the poop out. So I get to the ER, and this is like 4th of July holiday weekend. So there was a lot of residents that I saw and a lot of chaos that was happening. So I would see one doctor, and then 2 hours later another one would come in. They would ask me questions, and then they're like, "Okay, we're going to go see." And then they go back out. And then they're like, "Oh, we talked to them. What's going on? What's happening? Can we please have a plan because they told me I'm going to get a disimpaction." So then I see someone from general surgery because they say my surgical history is too complex to make a decision, so they need to talk to a bunch of different teams. And then they're like, okay, I'm going to order an enema for you, and then we're going to do a Go Lightly flush, which is just like a Miralax flush, but it's going to be higher volume. And I was like, no, I can't do that. I did that at home, and it was super painful, and like, how do I know that it's not going to be the same? They're like, well, we don't really know. We can try. And I was like, I came in here for disimpaction. That's what I really want to do because everything's so hard at the bottom. And
And what's disimpaction?
disimpaction is where they manually remove the poop.
So they go in and get it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like after it's still a blur because we were there for so long. But We were basically in the emergency room for 8 hours, and all that we had actually done was an IV. When I agreed to doing an enema, because I wasn't comfortable agreeing to go lightly because that's just gonna work from the top down, we did an
Go
enema.
lightly for anybody out there.
Have you
It's
done go
not
lightly?
very fun. A lot for colonoscopies.
Right, yeah, it's terrible. And go
Terrible.
lightly is actually
There's nothing light.
no, no, not at all. So, Go Lightly is basically, like, the same as the Miralax I'm taking now, it does the same thing, but, like, I take much smaller volumes. So, I agreed to do the enema, and the enema happened at, like, 5 in the morning, and
Mm,
I was up all night. So, I don't like enemas. I've gotten better at
well,
doing them because I have to, but it's like you stick a thing up
yeah,
your butt, and then you put water in, like, it's
yeah.
super unpleasant.
It's not fun. Yeah, it's
Right.
not fun.
So she does it, and then nothing comes out. I don't even have the sensation for, like, the water to come back out. I think it just, like, got absorbed into my poop or something, I don't really know. And then, like, I go to sleep. In the morning, a doctor comes in, and I need to go back because I forgot to talk about this part, but someone from general surgery came in and she stuck her finger up my butt to see if there's poop there that they can disimpact.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, since things weren't moving, there wasn't. When I was at home and I started the Miralax flush, like, I could put on a glove, stick my finger up, and I could feel the poop there, and I could try to
Yep.
get it out myself, but I couldn't.
Yep.
But by the time I was in the emergency room, I think it was sitting a tiny bit higher up. So the nurse or the doctor, resident, person I saw, she was like, "We can't do a disimpaction because I can't feel the poop there." And at that point, I was really confused because when I had my initial problems before I got my ostomy, and they removed the poop under anesthesia. Like,
Yeah.
you don't cut anything, but you have to be
And
asleep
that's using a tool going through the
through
anus?
the bottom up. Yeah,
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
yeah,
Okay.
right.
So they're not cutting into
No,
any kind of tissue or
no, no.
anything. But yeah, you definitely want to be asleep for that one for sure.
Yeah, 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 for sure. So at that point, I was really confused, and I was like, "Oh, they've done it before," and she was kinda trying to explain to me why they couldn't. So, fast forward back to when I was actually admitted to the hospital after we did the enema, another doctor came in, and they're like, "Okay, we're gonna do a go lightly flush." And I was like, "Why are we doing a go lightly flush?" It's so frustrating. If I did an enema and nothing is coming through the bottom, how is, like, working on the top down gonna do anything without causing, like, immense amounts of pain? And then her
Yeah.
reasoning was kinda just like, "We can't really do a disimpaction because our person from general surgery yesterday stuck her finger up your butt and she couldn't feel any poop there, so we can't take
Okay.
that out." And then they're like and then she goes, "Well, and also, like, we don't really have any, um, operating rooms open right now, so they wouldn't even be able to get you in soon enough, so it's just worth a try to do this, like, it might be a different stool ball and it might work." And I was like, What are you talking about?" And I was freaking out and I was crying because I didn't know what was going on,
Because
and
we,
no.
but this is a really interesting point because I have this too. Like when I go to doctors, and it's like I live with this every day. I have a good sense of what's going to work and what's not going to work, and I know what needs to happen. And it feels like you know exactly. Like we've done this before. We've gone down this road before, and I know exactly what's going to happen if I do go lightly. And that's not what needs to happen. It's so frustrating. But
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. No, no, I totally agree. And what my take on the hospital is there are some doctors that are specialists in what they do, and you can tell that they've been working in the field for years and years, and what they're telling you is from experience. And some
Yeah.
doctors or residents that you're seeing, which of course, like, they have really good medical knowledge, but everything they're telling you is from textbooks that they've read and
Yeah.
not a lot of personal experience. And when I talk to them, I can definitely tell the difference between where it's coming from. So when these people are telling me and their reasoning doesn't really make sense, I was in a bad spot. So a couple hours passed because it takes the hospital forever to do stuff. And then they just, like, sent Go Lightly in. And then the nurse was like, "Oh, your doctor said to do this flush." And I was like, "What are you talking about? We didn't agree on anything." And then the nurse went back out, and then finally someone came in that I could tell, like, they knew what they were talking about. And his plan, he worked with one of the doctors from the clinic I was seeing that was the guy that was gonna do the exam under anesthesia. So he was
Yeah.
like, "Okay, what we can do is let's do a lot of enemas to try to get things cleared from the bottom. And if that doesn't work, like, we will put you in the OR, we will disimpact you." And I was like, yes, that sounds like a good plan, and it makes sense to me
Yeah.
for why it's happening, so that's what I ended up doing, and none of the enemas worked. I think we did 4 of them, so they administered 1 every 45 minutes, and then they're like, "Okay, we're gonna put you in the OR." I already had an IV, like, put me under, took out the
Let's
poop.
go. Yeah.
Lots of poop, apparently, as the
Yeah.
doctor says, and I ended up not having to have my exam under anesthesia because the doctor that did the disimpaction did it there, and he worked closely with the one that was gonna do the
So you did
actual.
that being awake?
No. No, 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 it was all asleep. So,
Oh,
like,
okay. Got it.
yeah,
Got it. Got it.
it
Got it.
was during the
So that was the exam under
under
anesthesia.
yeah, yeah, so he just did it
Got
there,
it.
and then there
Got it.
wasn't really anything wrong there, which is good and bad, but because it's still kind of hard to tell.
But
So
that's crazy. They do the disimpaction test, if you will, by whether you can feel it or not with your finger. It's
right,
like, obviously there's something there. Maybe your finger's too small. Maybe
right.
you have a short finger.
Right, and she's like, "Oh, we can't disimpact it that way," and I'm like, "That doesn't make any sense because they've done that for me before." So it's
Yeah.
just it's a roller coaster and it's rough.
But is there no answer to like why it keeps building and not coming out though? Yeah, it's so frustrating, Ella. I'm so sorry.
No, 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 it's okay, and I think we're kinda getting to an answer of steps to take, but
Yeah.
the after I had that visit, I still thought I would have the exam under anesthesia because they didn't tell me that it got canceled, so I was, like, scheduling my schedule around having that day, but after a practice, actually, I get a call from Children's Hospital, and they're like, "Wanted to check in, like, and talk to you about what you should do moving forward." And obviously, like, just taking Senna wasn't working for me because it caused all my poop to get really hard. So they're like, "We're just gonna increase your dosage of Senna to 5 tablets." I was taking 3 before, and I think 2 tablets is a normal dose, so it's, like, way past the threshold. And then they're like, "And we're gonna take you off of Miralax again." And I was very frustrated. I was like, "Why
We've
would you
done
take."
this before.
Right, "Why
Yeah.
would you take me from Miralax? It's not gonna work. Like, please, I need to take some." And then she, like, put me on hold and talked to the nurse practitioner, and she's like, "Okay, you can take a quarter cap." And before that, my dosage was, like, 2 caps a day. So I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna take half a cap every day." And then it was going great till about 3 weeks ago to where I had the backup again, like, I was actually pooping every day, which I thought was amazing, and since I wasn't taking too much Miralax, I felt fine,
Yeah.
but from that phone call, I was like, "Okay, so we're still having the exam under anesthesia on Monday?" She's like, "Oh, no, 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 they canceled that, blah, 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 blah," but they didn't tell me, so that's kind of the thing, and
Yeah.
like you said, you know what's best for your body. I love, personally, the nurses in the hospital. I think they always do an amazing job making me feel good and also making sure that they can do what they can to get a doctor in the room, to get the process moving, because they understand
Yeah.
how frustrating it is. But, like, after I had that experience, I think every nurse I had throughout that whole time was like, "Good job advocating for yourself. That's really important."
Yeah.
I think that that's really important as well to
And
do.
it's something that like shocked me, like, cause this, like going through all of this the past few years, it was really the first time that I had been really like entrenched in the healthcare system. And I just thought, you get sick, something happens, you go in and they're going to fix it. They're going
Yeah,
to make it better. And I can tell them like I can tell them what I'm feeling or what's going on. And then they're going to do everything in their power to make it all okay. And it's just not true, which is sad. It's sad to say, but
it's really
it's
sad.
something that I didn't understand. The self-advocacy thing is like, you really do have to push,
Yeah,
which is crazy that's on the patient to really push the care team and medical professionals
right.
to help you
Yeah,
because they're going to do what they see. But unless you really push and share, like you almost have to exaggerate because otherwise they won't take it seriously, it feels
yeah,
like.
and that's
And that's
another
something that I just didn't understand that.
right, and that's a thing where, like, what's your pain on a scale of 1 to 10? 1 being no
Yeah.
pain, 10 being, like, the worst pain imaginable, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Well, I always would put my pain under what I actually thought it was," because I'm like,
Yeah. Same.
"Okay,
Same.
10 worst pain imaginable,
Yeah.
like, torture."
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
That's crazy, but, like, if I would
Yeah.
say, like, 10 really bad pain, if that was the scale, I'd be like, 10, 10, but I'd be like, 6, maybe
Same. Yeah.
7, but that's just I don't know. And then if you like, I would say that like, "Oh, my pain's at a 6, but it's still bad." And then they would go out of the room, and then, like, I'd be screaming my head off, like, 10 minutes
Yeah.
later because it's getting really bad. They come in the
Yeah.
room, they're like, "Oh my god." Then they actually start doing stuff.
Yeah, so it's too but at that point, you're already feeling the pain, right? It's like, I should've just yeah, it's super frustrating, and I think that's everybody, though. Yeah, you always get 0 to 10, it's like,
Yeah.
it's such a good point. I'm like, 7, maybe? But
Yeah. But, like, the
could be way
scale.
worse, like
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but still uncomfortable. But if I say 7, are you not gonna do anything for me?
I know, which is crazy. And when I went there 3 weeks ago, I have a lot of experience with not pooping. So, not pooping for 5 days, painful, uncomfortable, but I've dealt with a lot worse. So, I was in the emergency room, I'm laying down, like, I didn't really feel anything that bad, but, like, I
Yeah,
hadn't pooped for a long time, and I needed to get everything flushed out. So, they would ask me, like, "Oh, what's going on? What's the deal?" I'd explain everything, and then they'd be like, "Are you in pain right now?" I would be like, "I'm not really, not that much, maybe 1 or 2, but it's not that bad." And then
yeah,
I think that also prevented things from moving fast because I went in the day before I was gonna leave for Boise to play a tournament with some people here in Washington, and that time was when I was like, "Okay, I want to go in and do a Go Lightly flush." Because I took Miralax, I took a lot of Miralax the day before. The day before that, I was doing enemas all day and nothing. Or, like, the enema water would just pour back out. But it was weird because I wasn't in a lot of pain even though I hadn't pooped for that long, but, like, I still hadn't pooped, so that's how I knew
yeah,
something was wrong. So I went into the ER being like, "Okay, I wanna do Go Lightly, I wanna do enemas," and that's great because that's all they wanted me to do last time. So I thought, like, "Okay, I'm going in at 10 a.m. in the morning. I should be out by maybe midnight at the latest and just be tired the next day because I have to wake up early for my flight." But I'd still make a team event that we were playing. But it's just hours and hours of waiting in the emergency room, and then, like, coming to a decision for them is so tough because 'cause they're like, "Okay, we need to talk to this person," and then they come to a decision, and then you have to wait 2 hours for medicine to come or for that to actually happen. And then I
yeah,
get admitted to the hospital. At that point, I was like, "Okay, I'm not gonna make my flight the next day." And I have to cancel on my team, which sucks. Um, and then they're like, "So tell me," I have to tell them the whole story all over again because it's new people. And then they're like, "Okay, you should probably do a Go Lightly flush, but we can't start that now before talking to general surgery to make sure it's the right path to go." Then I asked them, like, "Oh, okay, what's an alternative path to doing this?" And they're like, "Oh, well, Go Lightly is really the only option here, but we need to talk to them." And I'm like, "I've just been wanting to do this the whole time." We start Go Lightly at maybe midnight, and then I was drinking it really fast. They didn't have to put the tube in because we were
mhm,
testing to see if I could drink a large quantity of it, and I was able to because 'cause I'm so used to just chugging my Miralax at home.
yep,
And then things like I was just pooping water. So it was moving through, it was coming out, it was like brown water, but it was water. And I was like, okay, I don't really know if this is clearing stuff out because it was kind of a different situation that I was in before because it was only 5 days of backup, which
mm,
is a lot for a person who doesn't get backed up normally,
yeah,
but
yeah,
it's, like, not a lot compared to me, but I knew, like, I shouldn't be having this issue, and I'm supposed to go to Boise the next day, and then right after I have Vegas, and I was on my own for those tournaments, staying with friends, like, my parents weren't gonna come with me. So I'm like, "Okay, if
yeah,
I go here and I'm still not pooping the whole time, I'm screwed. What am I supposed to do?"
yeah.
That's why I went into the hospital. And then I just kind of kept pooping water. It looked a little bit more solid in color later, and then they kind of just discharged me. It was really weird because
Be
things didn't really.
because it was still brown, right? It wasn't like it was all cleared out.
No, no. So
Yeah,
it was just that things were moving. And then I actually there were more events in Boise, so I got a different flight for that afternoon. I arrived at night, and then I played in the tournament the next day, and since I had all that Go Lightly, like, I was pretty dehydrated, and I was
mhm,
leaking a little bit, so by the end of the day, I felt like crap. It was a, double elimination bracket, and we almost made it to the point where we got a medal. We lost 11-13 in the 3rd to a good team, and,
yeah,
like, by the end of that match, I was feeling terrible, and then in the back
Yeah.
draw, I couldn't keep things going. The next day was a little bit better, but I still really wasn't pooping, and then I withdrew from singles 'cause I was like, "There's no way I can do this," and I had Vegas coming up the next week directly from Boise. I think
On tournament days, what are you doing to hydrate? Like when, especially like during like Boise, for example, when you just had all the go lightly and you're already kind of dehydrated.
Mhm.
Like, what are you doing to counteract that?
I need to do that a lot better. I think I'm pretty good at drinking water, but it's not great, and I know I'm not drinking enough. Those days that is just like filling water bottles, putting a bunch of electrolytes in and chugging
Yeah.
it. But like I need to be more responsible to drinking water, like on a day-to-day
Yeah.
basis. Because for me, when I don't have an immediate problem at hand, I tend to put it off because I don't want to deal with it. It's the thing to
Yeah.
where like sometimes you have to deal with it, sometimes you don't, and I don't always wanna deal with it, so I kinda just, like, I'm not gonna
Because
worry
it's pretty
about it.
exhausting when you do have to deal with it, right? So it's like, I just want a break for not
Yeah,
having to do this.
right. You too, so what do you do I've been talking a lot, sorry, what do you do on,
No, I love it.
your days to hydrate?
So still trying to figure it out. I have used a lot of electrolytes, but they typically make me cramp, like make my stomach irritated. It'll make me cramp and bloated and pretty gassy as well.
Right.
So it doesn't make me feel great when I have to do a bunch of electrolytes. I've been trying to do just like salt, just pure, I think it's oral rehydration solution, which is just really just salt and water. And that's been better,
Right.
but I still, I I'm sure it's due to the ostomy, but I still struggle with playing mostly outdoors, even if it's not that hot. I think no matter how much I hydrate, I hit a wall
Leave you, yeah.
like 30 minutes in where I feel so fatigued and tired and exhausted, no matter how much water I've had. So
Yeah, really sorry.
I don't know. I'm gonna try to do like IV solutions, maybe pre-tournament day, just to see if that helps. But I haven't found a good solution for being able to stay hydrated and not
Right.
feel like crazy exhausted when I play outside. Inside, it's less of an issue because I'm not sweating as much. But especially in Asia, outside in Asia is like I
Yeah,
feel like
imagine.
it's so hard to stay hydrated. And for people that don't know, so most of the electrolytes and nutrients that we get in our food, it's absorbed in the colon. So when, especially when you have the ileostomy, none of the electrolytes or salts or nutrients are making it to the colon.
Right.
So you're getting nothing in respect to hydration, and you're having to drink a ton just to be at a decent baseline, which is still much lower than anybody else.
Mhm.
So hydration's yeah, I don't, I don't know the answer.
I could imagine, because I didn't play sports with my stoma because of prolapses, and I also didn't really play sports before that. I kinda just, like, sat around, focused on school, did art, but if I was playing sports, I feel like with that dehydration, it would've been crazy because I still felt sluggish with it when I wasn't doing much, and this is kind of an awkward question, but, like, do you throw up often if you play, or, like, how does that affect you?
Yeah. I wouldn't say often. I feel like if like because I am trying to drink so much water, obviously it's very full. I feel full and kind of bloated, probably how you feel every day, essentially.
Yeah.
But when I do try to it's similar to you, right? I should drink more water throughout the day, every day, whether I'm competing or not. But typical fashion is you'll drink what you think's enough. But we have to like with stomas, you have to hydrate a lot more. But kind of like procrastination day before, right? I got to drink a lot really quick.
Right, yeah.
So then you like try to cram it all in the day before, a couple of days before, and the day of. And that's not really how you're supposed to hydrate. You're supposed to
Right.
always be at a better level. But when I do that, kind of like cram last minute, I feel really full. And the last match I played was in Malaysia at a PPA men's doubles. I think my partner and we were playing Ben and Christian Alshon, and we won the first game. And then by the end of the first game, I knew that like I had hit that wall of like I'm not really seeing straight. I'm starting to get a little dizzy. And then game two, was it game two? Maybe game three, I actually threw up in the middle of a point. Like I bent down to like hit a backhand to like try to
Right.
hit a mid court reset. And as I went down and came back up,
Oh, I'm so
li-
sorry.
liquid came out and got all over the court. So
A
I took a
medical
medical timeout, went to the bathroom, threw up a lot in the bathroom. Then I didn't know like medical timeouts are short now. They used to be 15 minutes. I got
Are they
like,
not 15
man,
minutes?
no, they gave me like I don't know, maybe 5 minutes
That's
total.
insane.
And so I ran to the bathroom. The disability bathroom was just the all like clear liquid, obviously, but just felt so bad. And then was
I'm
able
so
to finish the match. Also, very hot and humid, so a little bit of an exception because the conditions were extreme. I think Tyson was playing a match either earlier or maybe after where he sweats so much that they had to they had to do a 10-minute timeout to wipe the sweat up off the court because of his sweat. So that kind of gives you a glimpse of how
wow.
humid it was.
Okay, I'm so sorry. And I think that goes back to the thing that we are saying about kind of like, oh, why is this happening to me? Because in your situation, like you're playing the best in the world pretty much, and you win the first game off them, like you have a chance of it at an upset. And then like your medical issue comes along and it kind of
Yeah.
holds you back a little bit. And
Yeah.
I can imagine that's, yeah, really frustrating.
Super frustrating because I feel like the levels there, and if I could think straight and see straight and not be this tired, I could win this. Even at the end of the first game, I knew things were not good. And I knew it was going to be very tough after that. And the second game went pretty quick. And then I was like, okay, let's just let this game go and then try to regroup and try to get as much energy as I can for the third game.
Right.
But it's, yeah, if I didn't have to deal with that, yeah, what's possible? What could happen if I'm just feeling like my partner's feeling or like how they're feeling? This would be so much easier.
And I think about that often too. And I think like for you, because I'm doing a lot better than I was, I think for you it's a lot more extreme.
There are athletes with stomas, but it was a little bit of a weird hesitation, like seeing that there weren't like Googling, athlete with ostomy or pro athlete with an ostomy. And this guy, Rolf Bernishke, who's a place kicker in the NFL, I think back in the 70s or maybe 80s, he did it with an ostomy. But I couldn't find anybody that's currently competing as a
Right.
pro athlete with one. And then some more research, I found somebody actually in Sweden that's a professional handball player, has an ostomy. And then there is Alex McPherson, who had a ostomy, I think early this year or into last year, who's the place kicker at Auburn University, which is really cool. College Game Day is like a preview show they do every Saturday for college football. And they did a feature on his story, and it was really, really cool because it gave visibility to a really big audience on stomas and Crohn's disease, and that was really cool to see.
That's
And
so
then
cool.
Cass Barjewel, who is a rugby player for USA Rugby, the women's team, she plays rugby with a stoma, which is insane
That's rugby's
because
crazy. That's cr
rugby's crazy.
yeah.
But she's like, yeah, if I get hit, I don't feel anything. But man, I
I
would worry
can't
about like
imagine that.
damaging it, you know? I
Yeah.
know.
Wow. 'Cause with my stoma, like, even if I picked up a heavy chair, like, crazy things would happen, so I couldn't
Yeah.
imagine rugby of
And that's
all things.
another that's like with the prolapse, that's one thing I didn't really think about with exertion. So that's an interesting point because I have noticed that, but like mine kind of goes kind of inward. And
Yeah.
then I have to like it freaks me out. So
Does
I'm
it,
like
like
sucking it in to like make it come out a little bit.
how far in does it go further than, like
It goes just inside flat. And I'm
okay,
like, you better
that's
come out. You better come back out. Because think about it, like if what would happen if it's like inside and then like stool comes out, like where does it
yeah,
go? Like would it leak into
and also,
places
like,
it shouldn't go?
then you have, like, a hole that's freaky.
Yeah. Yeah. But luckily it always comes back out. But another thing that I was really like freaked out about when I got the ostomy was it's well over 50% of anybody that gets an ostomy will likely have a hernia at some point. So I was just very, very careful about, I think after surgery, you're not supposed to lift anything more than a pound for a long time
Wow, okay, yeah,
because otherwise your core is very weak and hernias are
super
very
weak.
possible.
Right.
So I still am conscious about if I'm lifting weights or if I'm doing any heavier lifting or moving something or anything, I'll always wear a very tight belt around just to keep everything tight and in place. But
Mhm.
it's a real thing I think about pretty much every day, especially with pickleball. Lunging, reaching, a lot of core, always pretty stressed about getting a hernia. It's always in the background of my mind.
I'm sorry.
Our bodies shift and we roll with the punches. So your story is unbelievable to me. I really appreciate you sharing it. And it sounds like this was one of the first times you shared things publicly around a lot of the issues. So you have no idea how much I appreciate it and how inspiring it truly is for me because you're playing pro pickleball, you're competing at a high level. I'm assuming you want to make a career out of it, and you're going through similar challenges that I'm going through in respect to being able to compete and managing your health as best as you can and figuring it out as you go. So I have so much respect for you, and I really, really sincerely appreciate you sharing your story. It means so
Oh,
much.
yeah. Thank you, and same to you. Like I said, I've never talked to anybody with a stoma before, and to talk to someone with a stoma that is currently playing pro pickleball, and you seem like a great player, and it's amazing to meet you. Thank you for inviting me, and like I really hope that we can talk more in the future because it's like making my brain isn't processing it right because it's just crazy. Like it's really cool to meet you, and I
Yeah.
think you've inspired a lot of people, and like, I hope you keep sharing your journey with people because it's a crazy ride, but I think people need to see it. Like you said, you looked up people, like, who's a pro athlete that has a stoma? Now it's you. I think that's super inspiring.
If we can take the struggles that you and I have both dealt with, you for much longer than me, and we can share that simply by having a conversation, and other people can watch it and listen to it and take something away from it, then maybe all of the stuff we've gone through isn't just for naught, right? It can
Right.
actually help somebody else with their own journey, which if nothing else in this life, if we can make each other's lives a little bit easier and help them get through it a little bit better, I think that's all we can really do. And
Yes.
you're doing that by sharing your story. So thank you so much.
You too.
Like, I really want to play a tournament with you. So I think that
That
would
would be
be
so cool.
the coolest thing in the world to play mixed
Yes.
doubles with you at a pro event. So that's going to happen one day.
Yeah, we
And
have
I'm very excited for that. We
yes.
will. We
Yeah,
will.
maybe a PPA Asia.
That would be super fun.
And I've always
All
wanted
right.
to I've never been to Asia, and I'm half Vietnamese, so I've really wanted to go. So we might
Pickleball
have
is going crazy in Vietnam. So let's make it happen.
okay. Yes, for sure.
Okay.
We're
Next
gonna we're
PPA
gonna
Asia, you have a mixed partner whenever you want to come.
okay, got it. We're gonna rep Ostomies
Yes, we
somehow.
are. We are.
Yeah, yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Ella. I really, really appreciate it.
Well,
You're
thank you.
incredible. And I wish you all the best with your health journey, but also with pickleball. And I'm happy to help and support you in any way that I can. And even just chatting like this makes me feel a lot better. So I really appreciate just that on a personal level.
Yeah, me too, and thank you as well. Like I said, I would really like to talk more. I know it's been 2 hours, but I think there's a lot more, and it's amazing for me to meet someone else who has had similar experiences. And yeah, I feel really good right now because of this conversation.
I really appreciate it. And I'm excited to talk to you more.
If you ever have any more poop explosions or something that happens, call me up. If you get a prolapse,
You'll
I
be my
I'm
first message. Like, guess what happened?
yeah, yeah. Well,
All right.
thank you so much,
Thank you,
and
Ella.
yeah, you're amazing.
You are too. Okay.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon.
Have a great day. Bye.
All right. That was Ella Cosma. I'm really grateful she trusts me with her story. There's a lot in this conversation that people usually keep quiet. She was very brave. If you're dealing with the stoma, Crohn's, chronic illness, or something that makes you feel isolated or uncomfortable, you're not alone, even when it feels like it. That's part of why Bag and Paddle exists, to have honest conversations, to show what it actually looks like to compete, travel, and live with a body that doesn't always do what you want it to do. If this episode resonated, please share it with someone who needs it. And if you've got your own story, please reach out. More episodes coming soon. Thank you for listening.